Hi, everybody. I'm Non from Toronto. I just got home from Shacharit, and that marks the end of the Shiva. And because Shavuot is tonight, it technically also marks the end of the shloshim. The Shavuot annuls the shloshim. It doesn't remove some of the restrictions that a child has to do during a shloshim period, but technically speaking, the shloshim is over as well, and it's customary to say a few words of Torah or other words in memory of the departed. And so I just wanted to share a few thoughts. I mentioned during my brief words during the funeral that Abba and I, we had our ups and downs. We could have a disagreement about anything, and one of the things that we would talk about when on our phone calls, he would ask me about my day at work, and I would tell him. And sometimes my days at work could be very long, like I waking up at 4:30 in the morning, and sometimes working 24 hours, even longer, in extremely stressful circumstances. And he would always say, and I know this was also brought up in one of the eulogies, is that he would say to me, he would answer, "Bishvil kavod tzarich laavod." And when he would say that, it would drive me crazy, because in the midst of those early mornings and the 24 hours and the hard work, I didn't do it for kavod. That was the last thing on my mind. And I would counter to him, it says in the Pirkei Avot, in two separate instances, in Dalet Aleph, Pirkei Avot, it says, who is honored? He who honors others. Habechabed et habriot. And then in Vav Vav, it says something very interesting. It says, they're talking about the different ways that one attains malchut, royalty, and one of the things it says is hamitrachek mehakavod, so meaning that you actually have to distance yourself from honor, to flee from honor. And I would say to Abba, how can that be? Bishvil kavod tzarich lavod is seemingly in complete contradiction to what our sages are teaching us in the Mishnah, where you have to mitrachek me'akavod. And it bothered me. And we had our back and forth. And, over the course of the last week, between all the tears and the Kaddish, and the sleepless nights, especially the sleepless nights when I had time to think a lot, some thoughts just about this argument that Abba and I had, and how I could seemingly resolve it. Nobody can argue with what we all saw with our own eyes at his funeral last week, and the Sudat Havra'ah at the Shiva house afterwards, and the pictures that I saw. There's no doubt that that Abba was honored. I'm completely blown away by how big the funeral was. It was the biggest funeral by far that I've ever seen. And just the number of people and the stories and that we heard in the eulogy, from everybody, Abba was so deeply honored. So how do you reconcile bishvil kavod tzarich lavod? And one of the ideas I came up with was that when Abba said bishvil kavod tzarich lavod, I don't think he was talking about the kavod of all the people that were there in the synagogue. And I don't think he was talking about the kavod of rabbis or even the kavod of his close relationships. I think bishvil kavod tzarich lavod, he's talking about the kavod that one bestows upon himself through working. And after, even as he was slowing down, he didn't stop. He was always doing something. And I was even thinking further, it doesn't have to be the work that puts food on the table. It could be other people do other things. People are homemakers. They give up a career in order to look after their families, and that's avodah, and that bestows kavod on oneself. Or the volunteers in Israel after October 7th. Look what they did. They picked up the whole country, picking fruits, volunteering in the army, people cooking and packing food for the soldiers. Absolutely, it was done for other people, and it was not done for kavod, but it bestowed a kavod upon themselves. And so, Abba, I concede this argument to you. You were right. Bishvil kavod, tzarich lavod. You need it for your self-esteem, and you were so honored. But the honor you had in your levaya, and the honor that you had, all the people that were at the shiva house paying their respects to you, to your family that was sitting shiva in the mitzvah of Menachem Avilut. It was in the merit of you honoring others and you fleeing from honor, as the sages said. So on one of Abba's visits, he brought me this scotch. I don't know how to speak Scottish. It's Bruichladdich or something like that, but it has a Magen David on it. Maybe that's why he bought it. It's a single malt, and I don't drink a lot of Scotch, but I drink on special occasions. And on this special occasion, I would just make a l'chaim to Abba. Abba, may your neshama have an aliyah. I miss you. And I didn't think I had more tears, but I clearly have more tears. And to your beloved wife, Anne, who I can't imagine what you're going through, and my siblings, Bensi, Jackie, Morty, and Eli, to lose a dad. Oh my God. The pain never completely goes away. And to Abba's siblings, Shlomo, in Israel, I know what it's like to be away from the main shiva house as you're sitting shiva amongst your own family and friends. Ayala, that you're coming for such a long time to help pick up some of the pieces and to be there as a support for the family in California. It's not only a testament to your chesed and your love for Abba, but it's also for an ilui for his neshama. And Lior, I'm so glad we got a chance to connect and talk about the movie days. And I made you a promise, and I intend to keep the promise. And I'm looking forward to the Shabbat dinner. And parenthetically, I remember when Omri was a little toddler and Naama was a baby. Omri we asked him what he wanted to eat, and he wanted to eat levesh. He wants levesh from his, I think from his other grandparents at the time. They were at Saba and Safta's house, and he wanted levesh. So maybe I can taste it one day. I think that was what he said. Maybe my memory is incorrect. And so I'll see all of you in Israel soon, and to all the others who loved him, his grandchildren, Josh, Jonah, Jeremy, Kobe, Danielle, Joey, his daughter-in-law, Sharon, all the cousins and nephews and nieces and everybody whose heart was touched by Abba. L'chaim, may your neshama have an aliyah.